you ask question, you definitely interact with those of our guys on top who are already experienced in the field. And you even have the permission to come to our DMs on WhatsApp and request for your favorite speaker on some of our events. So it's as plain as that. So I welcome everyone to this event once again, which is our design digest section for today. And with me, we'll be having Sandra Bernard. Yeah, Sandra, can you hear me, please? If you can hear me, please unmute your mic. Let me be sure that you are currently with us. Hi, Sandra, can you hear me, please? Oh, I'm just trying to confirm if our speaker can currently hear us. I don't know if she can. But basically, this is how the section is going to be. It's going to be an interactive section. Yeah, so we're going to have like oh, welcome, Sandra. Hi.
Hi, I've been speaking, but apparently my network is bad. So sorry, guys. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Sandra. Welcome on board. It's so nice to have your pixels.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my honor. It's an honor to be here.
So much for honoring our invitation. So, guys, we have Sandra here today. I'll just give a brief rundown about who Sandra is, so you get to know her just a bit. Okay, Sandra is a UI UX designer and also a project manager, right? She's focused on Web3 products, AI innovations, and a lot of stuff. And yeah, she has a couple of years of experience as a UI UX designer. And from what we know about her and what we've seen her do, we felt that she is a great personality for we to have on our design digest session today. And I think when she speaks, we're going to know more about her. Yeah, she's going to give us a brief intro about herself, and it's going to be an amazing session with us today. Sandra, are you prepared for this?
Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I might not be sharing my screen, but I would encourage that everyone keeps it interactive, ask as much questions as possible. I'm going to try my best to also just run us through it without too much technical terms, focusing on, the topic as a designer. So so I'm pretty much ready for it.
All right, thank you so much, Sandra. So let me just do well to share my screen. Let me share my screen. So we'll be having an insight because today we are having an amazing topic to discuss. We're having an amazing topic to discuss. We'll be talking about Web3. And I'm so curious because I'm also going to learn a lot today. Yeah, I'm so curious to learn. The internet over time has evolved, which we have different phases of the web, different ways to earn, different ways we could niche down as designers, which I'm sure majority of us here are definitely UI UX designers. So Web3 basically is just like another phase of the web whereby there are opportunities that we could lay our hands on and we could also earn from. But today we are going to have like a proper breakdown of what Web3 is and how to get into Web3, where we get started from. And I'm sure our speaker is definitely going to give us a walk of how she started her own journey into Web3. Definitely, I'm sure of that. So, Sandra, I believe everyone can see my screen. I'll just hand over to you so you could take over and give us a walk through what you have for us today. Welcome once again on board, and it's so nice to have you at Pexels.
Thank you so much. Good evening again, everyone. My name is Sandra Bernard, and I'm a digital product designer. You can also meet me sometimes functioning as a project manager or a writer. To guide this conversation, that means a lot to me. It's an honor. And when I saw the invite from Pixels, I was so elated. Well, what is Web3? And as a designer, a guide to the future of Web3. Well, Web3, as we all know, the web is evolving. Like the previous speaker rightly said, today is we're just it's not just about learning buzzwords or what is trending. It's about understanding, you know, a shift that is already happening, and as creatives, how we get to shape it. So Web one, I'm going to start from Web one, which is where most of us started. If you were born in the 90s, we were encountered with site pages that were very static. Basically, like we have the Wikipedia pages, and basically limited interactions. We were only needed to read, the screens and absorb information, not necessarily interact. And the need for interaction was necessary because humans, as we engage with new things, we aspire to do more with them. So the interaction came into existence with products like the social media that we have, the e-commerce, products that keep us in being able, that give us the ability to generate content and customize our content, customize our data. But then there's now a hindrance in that evolution of the internet where we don't necessarily have ownership or control over our data, over our assets. And that's where Web3 comes in. So Web3 basically is a decentralized web that is built on the blockchain technology to validate the ability for users to own their data, to own their digital assets. And Web3, for Christ's sakes, is not a trend or something that is just going to pass. It's a necessary evolution because we noticed that there was a period, I think the last year, when Microsoft had a shutdown in their server, and most of the devices that were linked to that server were not able to function. Users were left stranded. Businesses encountered loss as a result of that downtime. And in Web3, you can't have such downtime because the blockchain is validated by nodes that are automatic. Basically, it is built and powered by those who use it. It's not sort of owned by a central database or Meta or Meta or Tesla or any of all those kind of products. Okay, so basically, you can think of Web2 as renting a house on Facebook or Instagram, while Web3 is owning a land in a digital city. Okay, so something like the metaverse, owning properties on the metaverse gives you, non-stop ownership because that's a digital world. But then having an account on Facebook or having an account on X and then it gets hacked, you've completely lost that digital footprint that you might have used a long time to build. So basically, that's what it is. So I don't know. This is the first half of what I have. I basically broke down today in 5 parts. So from the understanding of Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, I would want to know if you have questions. Like I said, this session needs to be interactive. So let me know if you have questions, and then we move on to the next segment, which is the core building blocks of Web 3 and understanding what these core building blocks are. And from the perspective of a designer, how we can function within these building blocks of Web 3. So I'm going to mute my mic now to allow you to raise your hands, and then we'll take questions before we proceed.
All right, thank you for that, Sandra. I think we should have like questions. So if you have been following up, let me just give a breakdown of what Sandra said because of those words that are just coming in. So basically, if you check my screen, you can see the title of our Design Digest section today is What is Web3? A Designer's Guide to the Future of Web3. So let me just break it down. In case you're a product designer or you're a creative in the digital space, you must have at least interacted with the internet and you must have experienced different phases of the internet. Like there's an AI evolution now, and sometimes ago, you understand the way the web was when we used to go use all those basic platforms. And over time, you notice that some things have changed because there seems to be like a separate part of the internet or a different part of the internet now that deals with just decentralized transactions or decentralized interactions, meaning you can see that people can pull up stuff without being like without having to hold a third party responsible for any of their conversation. Like if you go like let's say on Telegram now, you can see that your chat are encrypted and there's nobody watching literally, or there's nobody literally watching what you're doing or keeping track, right? Meaning it's decentralized and it becomes like a safe space, right? So that's just a basic example of Web3. And Web3 is like probably a decentralized world whereby nobody is responsible for being a third party on any of your conversations or transactions, meaning it spreads across different industries like finance, like um, different industries as a whole. So definitely that's what our conversation today is about, because a lot of designers and creatives are earning good amount of money and making opportunities or good use of opportunities from this particular space that we're talking about. And you definitely don't want to be left out, right? So that is what Web3 is all about. Just a basic explanation, and we want to see if you have questions based on that particular like first breakdown of what we explained. So if you have a question, you could drop them in the comment section. And if you're shy to speak, which I'm sure nobody here should be shy because this kind of a safe space. And if you are confident enough to grab the mic, you could raise up your hand. And I think if we don't have any question in the next 30 seconds, we'll definitely move on to the next phase of our session. So are we getting any question? Okay, Sandra, you could move on. If we have any question, you could just drop them in the comment section now so we can maximize our time properly. Thank you, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Are you speaking? If you're speaking, please, we can't hear you. Maybe you're on mute. You could unmute your mic so we continue the session. Oh, at this point, I think our host is having some network issues. Probably she left and she's joining back. I don't know, but we'll have her shortly. But please, if you have any question, you can just please share it in the chat box. Let's have your question. We are going to be having like practical illustrations or examples of what Web3 design is, and we are going to break down the difference between Web2 and Web3, right? Like in terms of design, and you're going to have like a clear roadmap on how you can begin your design journey as a Web3 designer, meaning designing decentralized platforms, which you can see the difference in authentication, which you can see the difference in, let's say, passwords, which you can see the difference in privacy and a lot of things that makes it more secure and interesting. So I believe Sandra is going to be back shortly. I don't know why we're having network issues right now, but let's just hold on till she comes back. All right, so our host is trying to reconnect back. Please, let's just be patient for, let's say, a minute or two. We'll have her back on track. Yeah, okay, welcome back, Sandra. I think the network is better now, right?
Sorry, guys. Yeah, my network was
Oh, so sorry. We don't have any question for now, so we can move on.
Hello, please can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We can hear you now. Welcome back.
Yeah, we can hear you. Welcome back, Ben.
Okay, so sorry, please. My network is failing. I keep getting calls, and I'm not supposed to be getting calls. So yeah. Okay. So hello, hello.
Yeah, we can hear you,
Oh,
Sandra.
we
You
can
can
hear
hear
you. We can hear you, Sandra.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so moving on to the second part. Yeah. So the core building blocks of Web3. Now, from the design perspective, I'm going to speak about it first from the technical perspective. From a technical perspective, the core building blocks of Web3 are wallets, tokens, NFTs, DAOs, and DApps. And what are all these big English? Basically, wallets are the same thing like we have in Web2, that we have in Web2, which is like the fintech products that we have where we can send money from one person to the other just by using a unique username or a unique phone number. Okay, so wallet is like the purse. But then in Web3, we have centralized and decentralized wallets. So a centralized wallet is a wallet that belongs to that you own, but then you own it within a centralized space, which is like a market space, something like Binance or BitGet or Bybit. Okay, so those are centralized D apps that have this centralized wallets in them. Then when we have decentralized wallets, we have wallets like MetaMask, Trust wallets. These are wallets that are not tied to any centralized exchange, basically. So it's a standalone wallet, okay? Then this is like the wallet replicates your digital identity in the Web3 ecosystem. And then another building block we have is the tokens. The tokens are basically the currencies or the rewards in these digital communities. Now we have stable tokens and we have meme tokens. Meme tokens are tokens that are what influences their rise or fall are sentiments, raw sentiments, just sentiments, and sentiments that can span within certain period of time that are not attached to any use cases or basically any utility. But then we now have stable coins. Stable coins are examples of stable coins are the USDT, the Ethereum, the Bitcoins. These are coins that are tied to utility, Solana that you use. They have use cases, so they have what they have value. Okay, they have sentiments attached to them, right? But they are not solely dependent on sentiments in the case of meme coins. Now, an example of meme coin would be something like the Trump coin. Yes. So I don't know if you heard the news. I think early this year when the Trump coin was launched on pump.fun, and they were setting. Sorry, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can.
yes, we are
Okay.
hearing you. We are hearing you.
Okay, and then they were setting news around people making triple their some some people making 10 times what they invested, and in the space of less than an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, the profit started dipping. Okay, so but the worth of the token started dipping. So those are tokens that you call meme tokens. So they necessarily do not have any utility or use case attached to them. They are just built solely on sentiment, okay, and hype. Then we now have NFTs. NFTs are digital ownerships that could cut across art, music, access, and more. Just like we have Pixel community, we could create NFTs which could buy, let's say you have an offspring in the future that wants to learn any version of tech, any skill in tech, and also just have a clear pathway through it. You could buy an NFT that gives you a loyalty card to have your offspring, go through an academy. It could be something of that worth, or maybe an NFT that gives you access to Mars in the next decade if you're still holding that NFT. If you did not sell that NFT, no matter how high it rises, you have the access to, it gives you access to Mars, so stuff like that. So if you look at the Web2 world, we still have things like artifacts, We have things like that's the game artifacts that you own. People that play Call of Duty, Fortnite, you own skin, own guns, weapons that have no value attached to them. You're just spending money acquiring them. But then now in the Web3 world, these NFTs they build what as you hold them, and then they are non-fungible tokens. So like the only person who can own a particular NFT at a particular period is only one person. So if you buy an NFT, they are, first of all, they're limited editions of the art pieces, the music pieces, or the access. And then when you own an NFT, you have sole ownership over that NFT. Not even the owner has ownership over it anymore. They just might, it might be an NFT that they have royalty on. So basically, that's how the NFTs work in the Web3 ecosystem. Then for DAOs, if you compare it to the non-profits in the Web2, you see that we have non-profits where community-run organizations are governed. But you see that even in those non-profits in Web2, it's usually, it has good purposes, but it's usually run or commanded by a certain group of people, what they want, how they want it done. Whereas in DAOs, it's a community-run organization that is governed by codes. So basically, you have voting systems to move a motion or to make certain decisions. So basically, communities are solely depend that the progress or decisions that are made, or just governance of the community or such blockchains, or such blockchain or such products or projects are solely dependent on not a few persons but the community in general. So that's what the DAOs are for as a building block in Web3. Then lastly, we have the DApps, which are the decentralized apps, where we have no central authority and more of user control. Like I said, DApps are, you could call DApps as Binance. Sorry, not Binance. You call DApps as this we are building Keep. Sorry, there's a product that I'm building that just in front of my mind because it's a DApp. So you could call Keep a DApp, basically apps that operate within the Web3 ecosystem that have no central authority. Apps like Binance, apps like MetaMask, apps like Trust Wallets, that have no central authority over the product, and then also more of user control where users have ownership over their portfolio with their seed phrases. That's why when you open a wallet, for example, or you sign up, when you create a unique digital identity in the Web3 ecosystem, you find out that your wallet generates a 12 or 24 seed phrase that is unique to you. So you have more control over your portfolio, and if you lose it, you lose control over it, and nobody has access to it. Unlike X, where you could wake up tomorrow and Elon Musk has banned you or has removed your account from existence. So now, looking at it from the perspective of designers, okay, now I've talked about it technically. Now, looking at it from the perspective of designers, designing for Web3 simply means creating experiences that educate and empower users, not scare users, okay, while balancing that complexity and, with clarity, enough information. If you register on a Web3 product today, you find out that if you're just doing that for the first time, there'll be so many guide notes, so many tooltips that tell you what this is for, what that's for, what you could do here, what actions are usually taken here, what guide notes. And frequently you would usually see have an avenue to give feedback, and those feedback are promptly handled, sometimes, like just so that as a user, you are walked through the new technology. So if you understand that as designers, be it graphic designers, brand designers, or product designers, the users you're going to be reflecting such products or amazing solutions to are users that are not fully aware of how things operate there, and the industry you're building for has a lot of technicalities that could scare users from easily and without friction onboarding and enjoying the benefits of a new technology. So to bridge that gap, you would have to design across these building blocks, but sitting from the perspective of the user than like the business. Do you get? So from the design perspective, you'll be able to say, okay, if I'm designing a wallet, what are the fears that my user would usually encounter when opening a wallet? How would I communicate that they need to save their seed phrases, because that's a very unique combination key that they cannot lose. If not, they lose access to all their portfolios. I cannot use red, because if I use red to say, oh, alert to hold it tight, it might scare them away, and that might be a bad experience or trigger a bad emotion for my users if they get to that point of my product. If it's a brand, and a brand that wants to communicate that their wallet is safe, and like their wallet their wallet gives them opportunity to just save. You don't need to save your seed phrase. You can just back up with your social login. How do you communicate that without looking like Facebook or Google? How do you differentiate yourself without also looking like what is already, a brand that is already, buoyant in the Web3 ecosystem, so that you don't always stay beneath the shadow of such a brand? So you look at it from the perspective of the user, understanding what would differentiate your offerings from what your competitors are offering, and it will inform your mind and give you a better direction from the design perspective, be it from graphics or brand or UI UX or whichever other branches of design. So also looking at the designs for tokens, I think to better understand designing for Web3, I really would encourage designers to own wallets. In fact, we're currently building a product, like I said, and one of the designers in the team had never owned or interacted with Web3 with any Web3 products before, and it's sort of difficult. And trust me, if you do one Web3 job, you would love it so much that you feel like, oh, I don't think I'm going to go back to Web2, because as designers or as creatives, we usually would have a futuristic mind, and that futuristic mind, being able to be in a space that is still fresh, where you can exact the possibilities that your mind can conceive when it comes to design or what's not. I think it can shift you from looking back at Web2. That's why most designers, when they enter Web3, they just want to stay in that Web3 and just stay. So I think another thing that will help you understand very perfectly the perspective of the users you're designing for or you're building solutions for would be to experience the products, not just by reading about them, but by downloading Binance, downloading Bybit, owning accounts, even if it's $1, $2, funding it, see how to fund, see how to transfer, see how to report, how to access support, see what other offerings are there aside from the fact that, oh, I own a wallet. What other things can I do? Some people own products like Binance and don't know that, oh, they can buy gift card there. They're still calling the guy from Benin to buy gift card when you can just open your Binance and buy gift card easily. So stuff like that. People still do not know that they can use Bybit and own a card that can contain crypto, which could be very handy in a country that has modern technologies. So also using the product as a designer would help a lot to fine-tune your understanding of the different building blocks of Web3. So that wraps up this session of the core building blocks of Web3. For NFTs, for designers that are, that design art, I would suggest you download what's this, OpenSea, and then look at the NFTs that are there. Also, if you look at the Ton blockchain, there are lots of products that are launched there on Base as well. There are these are different blockchains, and they call them protocols or blockchains, okay? That are built on the primary blockchain, which is Bitcoin, the genesis of it all. So if you want to know more about different blockchains, just go to Coinbase or CoinGecko. You see different blockchains as a filter. Just pick each of them by name. You can pick Algorand, Google Algorand, go to their website, read about them, access their website. All of them usually would have a website, and the surest place to get information updated and legit is their website. So read about it, see what they are doing, see the solution they are bringing, just know about them. You don't really need to be a master unless you want to be trading and all of that. I'll talk about that much later, the trading part and the investment part as a designer, because unless you want them to cast your image, your village, or maybe in Nigeria, maybe around the world as the best designer, I think all of us are here to, make a better livelihood for ourselves and for our generation. So we'll discuss on the investment part later. But yeah, basically that's it for NFTs. For DAOs, things like associations or communities that like Pexels can have a DAO where where different for the benefit of designers, where different voting systems are maintained by general consensus, and basically just community run organizations that are guided through smart contracts to solidify the terms of operations and just the modus of operandi there. So yeah, that's that about DAO. So for as a designer to design for that, you would be recognizing, okay, what differentiates a DAO from a non-profit in the Web2, looking at similar DAOs. Also, if you have, as a designer, if you have a passion to, if you know that, okay, you have a community or you're part of a community, you could switch that or upgrade that into a DAO and enjoy the benefits of that within the Web3 ecosystem as well. For the apps, of course, decentralized apps, that's mostly what is available in Web3. There are apps to bridge right now, apps for abstraction, apps just to play games, different products in the Web3 launching every day. So you can pick one, redesign, pick one, download, experience it, and yeah, basically build for it. So that wraps up the session for core building blocks of Web3. I hope that was extensive enough. If you have any questions, this is the moment you ask your question, and then we'll take it off to the next phase, which is the designer's role in Web3. Over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sandra. That was amazing. I believe a lot of us are following up with what we are doing currently, and you must be currently noting down. Yeah, you must be noting down what you are learning at the moment, because one thing that makes Web3 crucial at this point is, if you want to tell yourself the truth, if you come into UI UX design or you're a product designer, sometimes it's quite easier to break into the Web3 space. Yeah, it's easier to break into the Web3 space than when you're juggling for Web2, because in the Web3 space, it's more friendly to learners. Yeah, it's more friendly to learners. For me, I don't know, another person's POV might be different, but it's more friendly to learners and it's easier to get opportunities. It's easier to get opportunities in the Web3 space because there are a lot of projects going on that are even kind of, should we say, voluntary projects. So the time you used to be searching for internship in the Web2, whereby they're doing first interview, second interview, third interview. If you invest in your time in Web3, you could just reach out to a project that will just meet you and just be like, okay, fine, we want to pay you this. And the pay is quite better, right, than even Web2. So when you talk about Web3, designing decentralized stuff, designing products that users don't need to literally expose everything about their privacy, right? You have to understand what you're designing. You have to test, like you have to use it yourself. And you have to decide, okay, where am I starting from? And that's why we have Sandra here to guide us through on this session. So at least we'll break down the core building blocks of Web3. And I don't know, please, if we have questions, we can use the chat box to just push out our question. Or if you want to raise your hand and ask your question, yeah, you could also raise your hand and I'll call you for that. But I believe we'll definitely have questions probably towards the end of the section, and we should just keep going so that we'll use our time well and we'll be able to cover up what we push out to be taught here today. Oh, thank you so much for following up the section. Thumbs up to everyone. And Sandra, you can go on with the next phase of the section. Let's see what we achieve with that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, so moving on to the designer's role in Web3. Now, we need to design for trust in Web3. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and this is a common conversation, between people who just know Web3 as Web3. And one thing the person said was, I think crypto is a get rich quick scheme. And that made me laugh because it is very far from that. Okay. And it's natural because it's a new technology. It's one centered around finance. And already Web 2 and Web 1 did not really do justice in conquering the fear that users naturally attach to finance or to money. So in Web 3, as a designer, our role will be to design for trust and also for transparency. You would agree with me that complex products like cybersecurity products, if you look at the interface for cybersecurity, if you've designed for cybersecurity SaaS product before, you would notice that to the complex parts of those processes are visualized are visualized using the most simplest layout, because you don't want the mental model of a user to process the difficulty in navigating each of those processes and then come to the visuals and still have to go through the complexity. That's why you see that forms that used to be long scrolling, like imagine when, I don't know which of you opened Yahoo Mail, the year where we needed to be scrolling and scrolling to fill different parameters of the input fields. Right now, input fields are not that cumbersome. You might be filling a form and it's as intuitive as possible, where you see micro interactions, micro animations. There's a progress bar to let you know how many steps, to encourage you, to show you that, oh, you're almost done, and then at the end of the day, when you finish, there's a little bit of animation, confetti popping out to just show you that, oh, to give you, like, to just prompt a good emotion from you as a user. So in Web3, we need to be more cautious. Our role as designers would be to apply more caution in building trust and simplifying the technicalities as much as possible to build transparency on how users, look at our product. So simplifying the complex will be number one. So users need to understand wallets. They need to understand what gas fees are. To ensure that they do, you need to make it intuitive. Not too much of animations, of course, but for example, if I want to transfer 10 ADA to Pexels, for example, and I initiate that transaction, and I'm now seeing gas fee, and there's no tooltip to tell me what gas fee is, I will feel cheated. That transparency has been lost just by missing that tooltip. But with that tooltip, the moment I feel that confusion on what gas fee means, and I click on the tooltip and I see tooltip explaining that gas fee is what you would typically see as a transaction fee that is used to validate this transaction and encrypt it in the blockchain. The user understands this. It builds a mental model of transparency. The user can come back and make more transactions and interact more with their wallets. So in that process, that element of tooltip has simplified the complex process of interacting with wallets, or like transacting within the wallet. Also, now for consistency, the design system, in Web3, it stretches across different platforms. Now, in Web3, you would see that, you agree with me that the color for alternates, basically short, is red. Green shows that, oh, we are moving in the right direction in terms of the movement of the coins in the market, right? But then if you are using that as like the what they call it now, the trading charts already has red in it, what color will you now use for your error state? You need to consider that in your design system so that they do not compete, and then you still maintain that consistency across your design. So let's say you decide that, oh, since I already have red as an indicator in the financial market within my product, I will just maintain my primary color or one of my accent colors as my notification state. So now there won't be necessarily like an error state, but there will be a notification banner that shows, that gives, that is still very vibrant and that still achieves, the goal of putting it in the user's face that, oh, see, oh, it's something you need to pay attention to. Do you get? So that still maintains consistency across my design, or my design system. Also, user safety. Now, in the Web3 ecosystem, there are lots of scams. There are lots of prompts that will say authorize this payment. There are lots of prompts that will say join, stake here, stake there. Help your users avoid scam with how smart your UX is. Like, these two tips are very, like, they are too important in Web3 that you can't miss it. It's not something you should miss. And also other methods of, giving your users warnings, confirmations, giving them idea of the process through progress bars. So help your users avoid scams, and just basically we are babying our users in this in this Web3. Also design for ownership, guys. I think badges, tokens, NFTs that users keep across platforms, they need to be unique. So if your design requires you to design a badge, design a token or an NFT, remember that you are designing something that would have unique ownership by the time it moves from your hands to the hands of the, or your hands of the to the from your hands to the hands of the users, or from your table to the the purse or the wallet of the users. It becomes their own. So have that at the back of your mind, so you can design for ownership, and it would just, it would be able to prompt or direct your design intuition to make it unique. And also across, even if regardless of how many platforms you build for, you would know that you're not supposed to pick maybe an avatar that you designed for, let's say, Pixel's D app, for example, and bring it to Sandra's DAO. Like, that's already wrong. So with design for ownership in mind, you're already playing a role to detect or to support the fact that ownership, unique ownership, is, you're promoting that unique ownership that exists within Web3. So your role generally isn't just to design a screen, it's basically to design for trust, design usability, and also design long-term value that the users will enjoy, as a result of that unique ownership that you've designed for. So yeah, basically that wraps up the session for the designer's role in Web3. If you want to ask a question, you can ask. If you want me to proceed, just give me a thumbs up and I'll go on.
All right,
Okay.
Sandra, thank you so much. Do we have questions, please? You could raise your hand, or you could. All right, Amachi, what's up? Good evening. Welcome to the session. You have the floor.
Okay, great. I think Amachi wanted to give thumbs up. Okay. Nice. Okay. So proceeding from that, I'm just going to give a few real examples and inspiration for Web3. But before then, I think I should discuss how to get started first. Okay, I should discuss how to get started first. So how to get started in Web3 as a designer, right? Practical steps, guys. Practical steps. Like I said, you need to interact with these blockchains. You need to interact with these products. I've called wallets. I've called NFTs. I've called DAO. I've called DApp. Um, I've called wallets. I've called tokens. I've called NFTs. I've called DAO. I've called DApp. Try as much as possible to interact with this, even if it's one for each. Just try as much as possible to interact, or to know an example, like different examples of them, interact with them. I think getting started there would give you the fundamentals, like it would give you the first hands-on experience to say, okay, as a user, you even know what this is. And then if you can, and I think you should, learn about blockchain fundamentals, blockchains like Ethereum, Solana, Bitcoin, Ton, Base, Cardano, Algorand, read about them. Like I said, you can download CoinGecko, Coinbase, just check for different blockchains, Google them, check their websites, read about them on their website. That's the guaranteed place to find information, and then know about them firsthand from their source. For design, of course, you basically have tools like Figma. I know that lots of Web3 designs look very flashy and look like a rainbow or chandelier lights, but not all. That's the ones that you find on Behance. You get That's most of the ones you find on Behance. So when you start downloading Web3 products, you'll be able to identify the UX kits and how to influence your design system, when to use those gradients and shouty abstract colors, and also when to keep things minimal so as to manage the emotions and the user experience your users will have, and how to very much communicate the business goals. Because at the same time, you also want, for example, if I'm building a product right now to manage seed phrases. As I'm building the product to manage seed phrases, I don't want the users to come there and want to go and just be editing their profile, love their profile enough that that's the only thing that will bring them to my app to look at themselves, look good. No, 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 no. They need to come there and save their seed phrase. So also you'll be able to balance more the usability and also the visual, but the visual bit of your designs by the time you engage with more Web3 products. Also, I would suggest you join Web3 communities. You have Web3 Nigeria. I think you should join that community. It's really good, really, really good. There's Build Space, there's Canal. These are communities that are also good international communities. Also in on Twitter, you can stay active on Web3 conversations. It might sometimes be boring, especially for a designer who is more interested in design than the trading part. But you can also find amazing designers like Druth, Long John on Twitter that have good content, Remy as well, that's Dakar Hills. Good content that will guide you more as a designer on what to focus on and what solutions that will be very viable at a current time you get. So basically, for example, like I said, one very strong issue is off-ramping to the bank, bridging, and you see such designers designing for that solution. So by the time you go through their threads and you understand what bridging means, like, oh, okay, let me try that using this product. And you try it out. You've seen that, oh, you now understand the concept and you've also understood it from the designer's perspective. So that's a good way to also, get started as a designer in Web3 by joining communities and following these persons. Also, I think in Web3, one thing that is very, very, very sweet in Web3 is you can and should collaborate with developers and DAOs. I'm in a hackathon right now, and if everything goes well and we win, there's a big prize to be won. And that happens every single day in the Web3 ecosystem. So imagine you have mad ideas, you practice not just by designing, but also by using Web3 products. You encounter challenges, you validate that, oh, this challenge is not just me. A couple of people are also feeling this challenge. And like, oh, this brand is lost in view and needs a rebranding, and you do that rebranding. Or you say, oh, this app is more complex. This is a bottleneck, it's a pinpoint, it's a red flag. It's going to have increased drop rates there, and you redesign for that to solve that. Or you even have a fresh product from scratch that you ideate, you validate with research, and you design. And you collaborate with a dev to build up. Now, they are not just hackathons, they are DAOs who also have grants. There are places like Super Team that have grants on a daily. There are bounties to be won on Twitter being dropped every second. So Web3 has multitude of opportunities that designers can leverage, not just to push their skills as designers, but also to push their ideas to life through collaboration and through the support that these grants and these hackathon prizes, offer. So you don't need to be a blockchain expert per se. You just need to be very curious. very user observant as a designer, and you can only do that by learning and adapting through using this product. That's basically the ticket to getting started as a designer in Web3. So yes, this would be my penultimate section. The next part is just a brief to say, okay, the real examples and where to look. I mentioned Super Team. Super Team is a platform that you should register on, set up an account, and submit, make your submissions to the bounties and the grants that they have there, and projects that they have there. Places also like X, you find different projects doing different hackathons that have amazing prizes to be won. Your idea doesn't have to be fantastic. Your design does not have to be perfect. Just do it and push it out. Just do it and push it out. That's how it happens in Web3. And who knows? You might go to the next stage and the next stage, and then you're winning 1,000 or 100,000 up to $1 million or so. So please just do that as well. Other people have done it. And it's as simple as it is. Just dedication and commitment, and just maintaining a curious mind to want to understand how to solve for this, how to make this work and all. What else? Another example would be where to look for jobs. Yes. So where to look for jobs in Web3 is Web3 job. Just check Web3 jobs. There's a website. Just you can Google Web3 jobs. It's web3.career. So that's where I apply for Web3 jobs. You could also apply, receive the jobs relevant through the filter that's relevant to your skill set and experience and preference of working arrangement, remote or hybrid or however, and then you apply for it. We're applying for Web3 jobs. You need to read the TOR really thoroughly, because sometimes there are hidden comments on how they want you to respond, or something they want you to mention randomly in your application. They can say mention rice, and you just say rice. So basically you get also, it's like speaking, it's not like the LinkedIn kind of posting. It's like speaking to someone who is listening to you, and all they want to hear is how you can solve their problem. I don't want to hear that, oh, I have 7 years of experience doing this, and over the past time I have worked for caricature. In caricature, what we built was it's okay. I am this, that. I have seen your product, look through it, and I believe this is a solution that will be relevant in this ecosystem you're trying to build. Considering that I have an experience in transacting with the Ethereum blockchain, I believe that I'm the best fit for this role, because from my understanding of the product you're trying to serve, I believe bridging blah 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 blah, blah would be feasible, and I can visualize this by simplifying the onboarding process, having tooltips within different points to guide, or progress bars between each point to show the user the progress completion, and like give different kickbacks for each time a user bridges to encourage more bridging. Do you get? So that cover letter is necessarily telling the client that you need to hire me, because you spend less time explaining what you want to achieve. Do you understand? Rather than writing, oh, I have long experience in this, that. So basically, that's another example on applying for Web3 jobs, and where you can apply for Web3 jobs. Another way to get Web3 jobs or to gain Web3 experiences is to offer voluntary work. In Web3, there are so many hackathons. Hackathon is basically you do the work before you submit it. It passes the criteria, and you get to win the prize. You could do the job and you don't meet the criteria and you don't get the prize. It is the sportsmanship in you. You keep going, okay? But that also demands that you would be working for free sometimes. So offering that can be a big risk, especially for an extended period. But then when the win comes, and it comes big usually. So that's another way to gain experience. So I would advise that someone who is willing to do that is mostly someone who wants to gain hands-on experience working on a product that's going live within Web3, and also is willing to just learn some technicalities that they might not have grasped at the time they are taking the job. So yeah, basically that's about that. For NFTs, OpenSea wallet, Phantom wallet, Ton Keeper wallet, Bybit, BitGet, Binance. So yeah, those are what those are. Sorry, Binance is centralized exchange, but it has a wallet. I don't know why I keep calling it a wallet, but yeah, basically that. So what else? What else? What else? Oh, so yeah, I think that's basically what I have for you today. What I just have to close with is that Web3 is not about hype. To be honest, it's not about building followers. It's about building the internet that we want, that is more fair, that is more transparent, that is more empowering. And as designers, we shouldn't just follow what is being we are not just built to follow what is in trend. We are built to design what is in trend, design the future of tech, and make it very accessible to our users. So let's put that in mind, so that designing for Web3 is not something very vague or something that scares us, but something that we approach with the mindset that, oh, we are designing a solution that is not just providing features to simplify human existence, but also to enable the emotions that the humans carry throughout the evolution of the web to be something that is enjoyable. Think of it as designing VR. Anytime you wear a glass to experience VR, there's just this positive feeling, there's just this happiness. Even if you're gonna have a even if it's a horror VR you're experiencing, right? There's just still this mm, happiness, this thing that feels cool, like I'm interacting with tech. So that's the feeling that users should have with an amazing solution that is an evolution to what we currently practice. Once again, thank you so much for indulging me blabbing all this English and speaking to your ears for up to an hour. I really appreciate the privilege again, Pexels. And yes, I will take any questions now. And that's it for me.
All right, thank you so much, Sandra. Oh, can we see more of those emojis pop up? Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I think we've learned a lot today. We've learned a lot today. The internet as a whole is so wide, and there are a lot of opportunities. Probably diving into Web3 is one of the fastest ways to earn in foreign currencies. Yeah, because there are a lot of opportunities you have there that you have to struggle a lot for in Web2, right? So basically, you have opportunities, because even in the Web3 space, there are people that aren't even designing, they are making good money from it, right? So not to talk of when you have a skill and you also have knowledge of what Web3 is. So that was an amazing session. Thank you so much, Sandra. Really enjoyed every bit of it and we learned a lot. So I would love to see your hands pop up if you have questions, and you could also use the chat box to drop your questions. If you're interested in starting out in Web3 and you are not clear on anything, this is the right time to raise up your hand. There is no, there's nothing like you are being shy. This is just a digital meeting, and it could be used someday having an interview with some of your clients. So you need to train yourself to be able to face your fears and push up from there. So Sophia, I would love to hear your question. Welcome to the session, and I hope you enjoyed every bit of it. The floor is yours.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you. Thank you so much. Welcome.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Sada, for that wonderful presentation. It was insightful because before I should think, how will someone start as a Web3 having in their space when Victor talk about it and all that. Thank you for simplifying it to the lowest system. But are you saying that we should just check the all those apps if you want to design a Web3 design? Or do you have any resources maybe on YouTube anywhere that you think maybe we can also learn more from? Yeah. And again, I wanted to ask that is it also the same Figma that they use to design all these things?
Yes,
That's
yes,
my
yes,
question.
yes, yes. Thank you so much. So, um, yes. So to answer your question, give me a minute. To answer your question, yes. To start with, from for Web3, we are designers, right? But we are better designers because you've used Facebook before. Sorry, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So you're a better designer because you have used Facebook before. You know how to design e-commerce because you have used Jumia before. You can design restaurants because you have booked food from restaurants now. So if you are going to design a wallet, I've called the building blocks of Web3, right? Wallets, tokens, NFTs, DAO, and DApps. Okay. So, for example, you want to design a wallet, or you want to say, okay, these are the building blocks of Web3. Let me take them one by one. You say Web3 is blockchain. Let me know what is blockchain and read five blockchains. I just want to know five first and know what they are, what differentiates this blockchain from this blockchain to this blockchain. Now, you say, okay, I've understood the concept of Web3, Web1, Web2, Web3. This Web3 now means blockchain. Let me see, what is blockchain? Blockchains are nodes and are connected to nodes and validators that is a ledger, a central ledger that are connected to nodes and validators that authenticate transactions that are stored on the blockchain, and they keep piling up layer by layer, layer by layer, and no data is lost and no one owns it. It's generally accessible and combined, validated by smart contracts, right? So, okay, I've known what blockchain is. Okay, so what are now the different blockchains? What differentiates Ethereum from Solana from Bitcoin? Okay, Bitcoin is layer one. That was the base. And there were some shortfalls from Bitcoin. That's why Ethereum came into play to improve what was already there on Bitcoin. Ethereum came into play. That's what brought about Ethereum blockchain, amongst other things, of course. But Ethereum is very expensive. And to transact with Ethereum on a day-to-day is going to be too pricey. So Solana came to play to let's make gas fee very affordable and the speed of transactions very fast and build on what Ethereum has already. So okay, Solana now came. Okay, so that's what differentiates Solana from Ethereum. So you look at, let's say, like I said, five blockchains for a start. After understanding what blockchain is, you can find out what blockchain is with AI tools, with Google, with YouTube, with searching it on Grok. You understand that you every day you can say, okay, you want to know, or every week or every month you can say, okay, you want to know about blockchains. You Google blockchains, you ask, and then you be able to differentiate the blockchains. You've learned that. Now you now want to understand, okay, these building blocks of this blockchain, how can I design for it? Let me start with wallet. Okay, let me design a wallet. You download a wallet, use a wallet, own the wallet, sign up, sign in, create your account, operate the wallet so that you can know from a user's perspective what a wallet is, the parameters of a wallet, what navigations will be necessary in a wallet, what the lingua would be, what the copies would be. And then when you experience that, you can now design a wallet. After doing that, it's okay. The next thing is token. Am I a graphic designer? Can I design tokens? Can I say, okay, if Sabino's token, what would come out, or Tinubu's token will come out, what will it look like? And you design tokens and you attach a use case to it because you've understood what tokens are, and you understand that, oh, I don't want to design a meme coin, I want to design a stable coin that has a use case. So you design for that. In that process, you are building your portfolio, you're building your knowledge bank, and you're also designing, you're also experiencing each of these building blocks and knowing what makes, like, are their characteristics. You move over to NFTs, the same thing. That was the same thing. DApps, the same thing. So now when you're applying for a job and you see NFT or you see DAO or you see your idea, you already know what branch of the blockchain they are concentrating on. So basically, I don't know if I've answered your question because I've tried to cut across starting off fresh, designing, learning how to design, and also up to the point of getting a job and looking at the criteria to know what matches your expertise. So yeah, Sophia, and then for if it is Figma that they used to design it, I would have showed you my screen. Yes, so it is Figma. It is Figma.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. So any other question?
All right. I think we have some from the chat box. Someone said, "Can a newbie designer break into the Web3 design space?"
Yes, a newbie can break into Web3 design space. I'm also a newbie. I didn't start Web3 as a designer. I started Web3 as an investor. That's the part I think I missed. So for me, I was looking for where to put a little bit of money, and I say, they say Bitcoin, no, they say Ethereum, and I said, okay, let me just buy a few. The 5K that I had like 0.0000000. And I still bought it, and it turned out well for me. And like I said, that's why I would preach start from experience. Start from experience. You get so experience the product. If you have 5,000, 10,000 every month, go to CoinGecko. Say, oh, which coin launched this week? Carry your shoulder up. Say, hey, which coin? It's only 10K you have. It's not like you have big money, but say, which coin launched this week like this? Let me assess. You assess, okay, let me read the white paper. Do assess your understanding. You would understand at some point from reading the white paper. You read the white paper, you come to Twitter, you check their name, you see what their community is saying. Do they have followers? It's just like buying shares. We are weighing the company to see if they are worth your money, their investments or not. You see that they are worth it, you purchase their token, and just like that, you're an investor in crypto too. You're just not an active trader. So yes, a newbie can break into Web3 design space. Trust me, if you start to experience Web3 from downloading the products and using it, earlier than 3 months, you should get a job, because it's either you get a job as a community manager first while designing, or you get it as a social media manager while designing, or even as a designer, you would see opportunities to participate in a hackathon, or submit for a grant, or participate in a bounty, and you would win some prizes and whatnot. So yeah, basically you can. Then I can see the second question on where do we get jobs for Web3. Like I said, web3.career is a good place to apply for jobs. It's just like my job mark, LinkedIn, but for Web3, solely for Web3 jobs. If you have Telegram, you can search for, please give me a minute, I'm trying to bring it out. If you have Telegram on your phone, you can search for Opus Freelance. Opus Freelance is a community where they have jobs every day, posted Web3 jobs. You can also check for My New Crypto Jobs. My New Crypto Jobs is also a group where they post jobs strictly with Web3. There's also Degen Crypto Jobs, where you find Degen Crypto Jobs. Then there's also Ton Jobs. You would also find Ton Jobs. There are jobs that are on Ton blockchain. Then there's Crypto Jobs on Google. Just Google Crypto Jobs. Is it Crypto List Jobs? No, List Crypto Jobs. The Crypto Jobs. You see it. It's, I think the brown color is blue, something like that. You see Crypto Jobs there as well. Then also, if you can register on Super Team, you should register on Super Team. Super Team, you would frequently see jobs there and projects that require you to submit for grants. Also, if you're on Twitter, search for Bounty, right? Isn't it? Search for that Twitter now. I can't remember it, but yeah, there are bounties every day. It's not even every day, every second, every hour. Let me not exaggerate. Every hour, like different bounties to win different things. And then also from time to time, you can also check Web3 hackathons on Google. You will see different hackathons, and trust me, don't be shy. Don't feel like, oh, I don't know enough. Just apply, go through the process. Web3 is still a space that teaches you almost everything, so take advantage of it. and enjoy being a learner before you get to the point where everyone expects you to know how to operate everything. Just like, if someone tells you, how did they used to make posts on Instagram, you'd be like, who be this idiot? So right now we're not there with three. So take advantage of that and experience with it so that you can learn faster. So yeah, I think I've wrapped up the questions that I can see. Are there any other questions? If not, thank you so much, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Sandra. Thank you so much, Sandra. I believe that what we are trying to do is basically we are trying to lay like a foundation. Yeah, we are trying to lay like a foundation. It's literally impossible to learn everything about Web3, but just getting insights on the building blocks, you could build on that and work on your personal research and also see how you can build around that. But like Sandra said, the best way to get into it is to interact with it. You could start with things like airdrops. I know many of you do airdrops. Like almost everybody here might have tapped their screen for that stuff, as sometimes that tap swap stuff that they were doing then, right? So that's literally Web3 experience, right? Yeah, that's literally Web3 experience. So you could learn there, you could go to Twitter, interact with people, get insights. Follow Sandra. She's been saying we should follow a lot of people, but follow her, please. She's also a an expert at what she does, and she's really good at it. So you could follow her, you could on your notification, you could go to your Twitter page, Sandra Bernard on Twitter. You definitely see a PFP, something black and white here. You could also go to LinkedIn, shoot her a follow, and definitely she's someone really cool that you could even send a DM and she'll definitely reach out to you whenever she could help you out. So as much as we are excited about this session, I just want everyone to give out an emoji in appreciation of our speaker. It took a lot to bring her on here, and she's been really busy, and I really appreciate her dedication and presence on this space. And for me, I learned a lot, and we should know that it's not just about we guys that had or what she said. It's about practicing what she said, putting it into practice, writing down what you want to do, and taking actionable plan towards what you've had today. But then, Sandra, thank you so much for joining us at Pexels, the management, the team, the community, everyone. Just want to say a big thank you to you, Sandra, and definitely we'll definitely be here to support you as much as we can. And everyone that came on this section, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for at least giving out your time to just be part of this. And we hope that some other time we are going to meet. And if at any point you want to join our community, maybe you're not on our community, you can reach out to the Pexels website. You see a link to join our community on the website. And there's a whole lot of things that we are actually rolling out. Free classes, like physical classes, free classes, Upwork Masterclass. We are launching an online library. There's a whole lot of package that Pexels has for the community, the design community as a whole. So I encourage everyone to follow Pexels on Instagram, Twitter, and every other places. And it was an amazing one today, and we just want to call it a wrap. Thank you so much, Sandra, once again. And I just feel, do you have any other thing to say, Sandra, before we leave? Do you have something to say? Been an amazing ride.
I just want to say thank you so much, guys, and thank you so much, Pexels. I know how patient you've been to remind me over and over for this, and I'm so glad we did it. Thank you so much, guys, for coming and joining this session. Please, if you do have, feel free to reach out to me. Sandra Bernard everywhere, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everywhere. So just reach out to me if you need anything. I will try my possible best to be available. Also, thank you so much again, Pexels. And just like Pexels said, please let's not just end up